Okay, so I felt compelled to do another video, and last one I talked about escaping toxic families that operate or have ties to cults. And so what I didn't talk about that I felt like might be helpful, because this is the thing. One of the journeys that I took to get to where I am now had a lot to do with other readers and, angel numbers, confirmation numbers, things like that. But the thing that I feel like is different about what I'm sharing as far as being a chosen one or a targeted individual, starseed, light worker, whatever you want to call yourself, is that it's hard to know, like, are you talking to me? Like, that applies, but that doesn't apply. The whole concept of take what applies and leave the rest. If it don't apply, let it fly, right? And when you're still like around the people that are hurting you, you're still in those environments, you're still in one, proximity, or two, like you're still conversing with these folks, they're still in your life to some type level of effect, whether it's text, calls, FaceTimes, whatever. So because these people, they do like confusion spells, they do, they target your crown, keep you in states of confusion, jumble your thoughts. One thing that assisted me in completely releasing all of the negativity, like, because everything's just a reflection of where we need to heal. So basically how I gathered it is that as I've healed and I separated myself, right? Because I've gone through multiple different points where I got away, came back, got away, had to be back. And then, like, after the last story, which I told y'all when they sent me to the psych ward, I was like, whoa, just for speaking on the fact that, I saw my brother expose himself to my niece. After that, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get away from y'all. I gotta stay away from y'all. And y'all aren't gonna do anything about this because this is the trend. Why would you do something about it now when you saw it happen to someone else, or you were a part of it, or you have to keep each other's dirty secrets? You know what I mean? That's a big part of it. I think that that's also a big part of why people that should have gone on no contact a long time ago don't, is because secrets. You're holding people's secrets. You're ashamed of whatever it is that you went through and you refuse to speak on it. And until you feel, you can't heal, because you're always going to have that void. One thing I acknowledge throughout the growth of my relationship, this definitely became like highlighted, right? Was that when we would have disagreements, because me and my fiance are very respectful with each other. So when we would have disagreements, and you know that you don't have bad intentions when this conversation is happening, and the person you're with doesn't have bad intentions, then there's no reason why there should ever be like disrespectful 333 disrespect, people calling you out their names, raising your voice, all of those things. I feel like when you're at odds because you don't disagree or miss points or whatever, I feel like that's confusion. Only the devil acts in confusion. God doesn't act in confusion. So I go to God. I don't lean on my own understandings. I don't sit there and be like, oh, well, like I'll express like my triggers, like, hey, when you said that, it made me feel like it triggered this part of me from what my mom would do or what my dad would do, or I'm battling with this. And same thing for him, because we all have our triggers. We all have things that we've gone through and that we're healing from. So yeah, I wanna talk a little bit about what I did to heal. Like, how did you do it, right? It's time to roll it's time to roll your sleeves up. You feel me? Like, sometimes you just gotta roll your sleeves up. So boom, let's start. Let's talk about how it feels when you're under spiritual attack. Okay? Like, you're like, oh. Okay, first of all, as a woman, let's first off just acknowledge the fact that every week we feel different. The luteal, the cycle, XYZ, and all of those things, right? But understandably so. But when you are being spiritually attacked, it's like it's like it feels like a weight, like it feels like a gray cloud over you, and it doesn't make sense. Like there's nothing that you can really truly tie it to. And then also you start to feel very, very, very irritable. Very, 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 very irritable. And it's like you start having thoughts that aren't yours. Now, how I began to combat that as I grew within my spirituality, as I grew in my confidence in my spirituality, because we're all spiritual beings. It's just, what do you choose to rule you? Are you a sovereign being connected with the divine, or are you giving your power away? Are you allowing yourself to be a vessel? Because at the end of the day, the enemy needs your permission. Now, whether it was unbeknownst to you or not that you gave your permission away, you did. It's kind of like when you do the Apple, Apple comes out with the new, what's the word I'm looking for, with the new agreement laws, or the little agreements that the terms and conditions, right? That's what it's like, right? So it's all this stuff you got to read, and then at the bottom it's like, check this, and then you can go on and continue to use your phone, right? So you gave your permission, you just didn't realize what you were giving your permission to. Now, you have the ability, you have the authority to say that things don't have your permission. You can tell people to their face you don't have their permission. I've recently, like right now, because I've had an injury. Before I gave mine, who is affiliated with Masons, which I didn't find out until I found out at the right time, right? It was the information was shared with me, okay? So she uses a lot of word spells, right? So I wanted to be cool with her because I had never had like a woman, and so like I was really excited, but ultimately, like, it doesn't really matter how kind, nice, or how good your intentions are with people. If at the end of the day, it is in their malicious intentions to use you, siphon from you, harm you in some way, shape, or form covertly, there's nothing you could do to change that. Because if you're nice and you aren't forward about the fact that, you're really not that one to be played with, it's like they're going to think you're gullible, naive. I'm going to play with you, right? But then when you show that actually I'm not that person, and I rebuke what you said, and don't speak to me like that, I found that very offensive. Now it's just like all they did was kind of take the mask off. And honestly, I don't think it's so much that they take the mask off, because I don't think that she realized that I saw her true face, but I did. And after that, it's like they still try to keep the mask up, but they know that you saw it. So it's just like they start to like glitch out. That's what I noticed. She started like glitching out. Now, at this point, like I said, this injury is the reason why I even was stationary long enough for, for me to truly come to the conclusion that, oh, okay, God, you want me to share my story. Okay, get online. Because as far as I'm concerned, you could get rid of this iPhone. I get a flip phone. I do not talk. I'm not in no group chats. I do not text people. I do not call people. I talk to I live with my man. I try to, before I had like officially cut everybody off, I tried to like help, like specifically one of my cousins, right? One of my cousins, Imani, right? I had, before, when I lived at my parents' home, Michelle and Ralph's home, the second time, because I had to move back in, which I told y'all about, she had asked me to do a reading for her. Now, I do know how to read tarot, but I've only read for 3 people so far, not including pulling a card for myself, which I've only done twice. I genuinely have never like paid anybody to do a reading for me. I've never like spoken to like any spiritual practitioners or anything. Like, I never did any of that, because I truly feel like I don't need any additional person to talk to God. I know what it feels like. I know how it feels like to be frozen in bed and not feel like you can move, and then it's like, something, and it's like you can hear it, but it feels very like benevolent. Like, it feels light, but it feels pressure. Like, but it's not the same heaviness when it's like someone trying to send you projected thoughts, or like, you know what I mean, when you can feel someone's negative intentions about you. So recently, and it really depends. Like, I feel like as you develop and you get a stronger connection with your spirit team, which is the angels, archangels, spirit warriors, guides, ancestors of the light, because let's be clear, not all of your ancestors necessarily, you know what I'm saying, are of the light. So you only want the ones that want to see you in your highest path. Right? Just like you have family members right now that are living, and some of them happy for you and some of them are not happy for you. Some people are choosing to do the work and some people refuse to do the work because they have animosity. And I think that all spell work is truly rooted in just fear. But how many times does the Bible say, do not be afraid? And I think that's people beef with me. They be wanting me to be afraid. I'm not. The only person I'm afraid of truly is me. I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm not afraid of the government. I'm not afraid of none of that, because I would never be put in a position where I'd be compromised or harmed in any way, shape, or form, because the actions that I take aren't malicious. Am I perfect? No. My expectation of myself isn't to be perfect. My expectation of myself is to be authentic. I couldn't even get to this point of being loved and loving someone fully. Not, oh, I love you, Rand. Oh yeah, I love you too. Yeah, I've been told I love you by countless people. Countless. I couldn't even count. All my fingers and toes. I could not count. But does that mean that those people meant it? And does it mean that I necessarily meant it? Not necessarily, because you have to love yourself to love someone else. And I feel like until you've been your raw, truly authentic self with a person, you'll never truly be confident. Like, you'll never truly be confident in their love for you, because it's always going to be something. It's always going to be a void. It's always going to be a void inside of you. Like, if they knew this, they wouldn't love me. Or if I told them that, they wouldn't love me. And that's based in fear. And the type of people that refuse to be fully authentic with a person but still want the outcome, that's where the spell work, the manipulation, and all those things come. Now, you don't have to have jars and certain herbs and certain candles and a Ouija board and a goddamn cutting off a chicken's beak and cutting animals for the blood. You don't have to do those things to do spell work. When you sit around and you gossip about somebody, saying untrue things, when you try to like manipulate a situation by coercion, manipulation tactics, maligning somebody, triangulating somebody, oh, tell this person this part, tell this person that part, and then stay close enough in proximity with the person that you're trying to attack so that they never wake up. That's spell work. Spell work is just words. That's why they call it spelling. Yeah. So once you realize just how important your words are, and the words that you allow yourself to be, you know what I'm saying? Like told, like as far as like not correcting people when they say things that are wrong about you to your face. Now, when people look, we might say it's gossip. If it's about me, it's fan theories, okay? I consider anything that someone says about me a fan theory, because at the end of the day, you don't know me. Even if you work with me, you don't know me. Even if you've lived, even when it comes to like my siblings, allegedly, Ralph and Michelle, alleged, all of those are fan theories, because you're trying to create a narrative. If you genuinely cared about a person, because let's be clear, they always try to mask it under concern, and that's how you can garner all of these people. And all of these people are not going to openly say like, oh yeah, we hate, insert your name here. They're not going to say, oh yeah, pitchforks, da-da-da-da. They're not going to do that because they don't have any proof. No one had all this is all done in plausible deniability. That's why they got to do it in the dark. Because the moment you know, the moment you share it, the moment it's exposed, everything goes out the window, because you know what you need to do to protect yourself. Now, when I was younger, and I still was around Michelle, did I have feelings, strong feelings that she was doing that? Yes, but I didn't have any proof, and I was still in proximity. So if I'm waking up, then you could just put me back to sleep because I'm in such close proximity to you, and I'm not doing the work to cleanse myself from the projections that you're sending out. Right? That's why I be the people closest to you that be doing it to you, because it's like, why would my best friend do this to me? Why would my favorite cousin do this to me? Why would my neighbor do this to me? Why would my baby mama, baby daddy? Why would my mother or my father? Why would they do that? Why would my auntie do that to me? Because you're not afraid, and they are. And the fact that you have that much faith in yourself and they don't know how to emulate that, they gotta try to like bring you down, create a false narrative or illusion around you to slow you down, delay you, or destroy you, depending on how successful the work that they're doing is. You know what I mean? Like, because if they put you down and you don't stay down, then the warfare is going to get heavier. It's going to get heavier because it's just like what I did before wasn't enough. And for people that are like spiritually gifted, that use their spirit for dark forces, like Michelle does, like Ralph does, like many of the people that I'm related to, for sure. Like, and it's so obvious because you know a tree by its fruit. You keep doing death magic on somebody, and the person you did death magic on is all you did. If like, say for example, I know for a fact Michelle's done death magic on me, graveyard magic, all those things, because the divine has told me. I'll literally have dreams where stuff happens. I'll have dreams that stuff happens, or like, it's like weird. Like, I will like get a smell, like I'll smell something and it'll have nothing. It won't match anything that has to do with where I live. And then I'll think like, when was the last time I smelled something like that? When I smell this, that makes me think of this. And I'll close my eyes and then it seems like I'm in the place. Like it'll feel like I'm there, like, but seeing it like through the eyes of the person doing it. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, they're trying to do this right now. They're upset about this right now. Like, I literally feel and I remember Michelle used to always say, she would like put so much spells over me, word spells over me. So when I would get like downloads and stuff, I would think like I'm tripping. So she had like convinced me very early, like, or attempted to, it didn't work, didn't stick, is she used to say, oh, you have a chemical imbalance in your brain like your grandmother. No, Evelyn, who is my Caribbean grandmother, my Jamaican grandmother, Michelle's mother, she's gone in the mind because of all the spell work she's done. Now, there is some lore with that. I remember, because Michelle very rarely spoke to me. She's a very silent person. And I think it's because people who like do stuff in the dark, they don't want to talk too much, because if they talk to you too much, you'll put pieces together, because God does everything in patterns. Like the universe, it moves in codes and numbers and patterns and synchronicities. I have pattern recognition. My pattern recognition is the reason why I've been able to escape a lot of dire situations, because I'm like, 2 times 2 is always 4. 2 plus 2 is always 4. 1 plus 1 is always 2. So if one got me fucked up, the other one got me fucked up, add it all together, it's time to go. It's time to peace out. You know what I mean? So as far as understanding, so the most recent attack that I had, and this was before let me preface this really quick. One thing I do not understand is people who are literally like, because coming up against a chosen person is like a death sentence, right? Whether it's your actual death or the death of your timeline, the timeline that you were supposed to have if you chose to connect with the divine on your path, but no, instead you'd rather be an obstacle. So now the divine is going to be an obstacle for you. Okay, and you done signed on the dotted line on these terms and conditions with the devil, but you didn't even read it all the way. So now you got 2 problems. The devil's not fair. The devil is not loyal. The devil is like, he's just a user. So if you want to be a vessel for other demons and devils to body jump in you and act, because you have voids in the way of jealousy, in the way of fear, in the way of insecurities, in the way of shame, in the way of XYZ, a lack limited mindset, you don't believe that you can get it on your own. But for whatever reason, you do believe that you could steal it from somebody else. So you can believe that it makes sense to you that the person that you've been attacking, who's done nothing to you, they're doing dark work with you and doing it better, and that's why you're losing, and not that God is real and God's protecting that person. That doesn't make sense. Like the way people move, like when like you'll send death magic to someone's finances, but you won't send death magic to your dad, your own dad. You'll send confusion spells to your baby mama, baby daddy, so that they don't wake up, but you won't send confusion spells to, you know what I'm saying, like some other enemy, like maybe send a I don't know, I don't do spells, but like you want to put, like, you won't send like a confusion spell maybe to like the police that got a warrant on you so they don't find you, or like you won't send, you know, like you like, for example, I know about like jar work and all that other stuff. I've never done that, but what I did do is I put my attackers in the freezer. I put acne in the freezer, like skin breakouts in the freezer, hair breakage in the freezer. Like, instead of like I just don't understand it. Like, motherfuckers will literally do love spells on a motherfucker that don't give a fuck about them, right? Which means you're abusing someone else's free will. You'll do a love spell on that person, but you won't put a love spell on yourself so that you can be more confident and maybe receive, because you have to be at a certain vibration to receive them things. Like, the reason why I chosen ones that are in alignment, because it's a choice at the end of the day. You have free will to be obedient or not. You do. And once you fully commit, even when it's uncomfortable, like you cut off the people, you do the things, you stop ignoring your intuition, you transition to, like, it's like you unlock like this supernatural like operating system. Like, the way your brain functions is not the same, and not with the whole frontal lobe developing, because that's definitely a big part of it, because it's just like your brain is like getting a little bit more of that. But yeah, so let's talk about what I've done when I sensed that I was on spiritual attack. So I told you it's like a headache, like it's like a weird headache. Like, I know the most recent one I've had is like, I had one, it was like the headache was like right here, right? I don't get headaches because there's literally no reason to have a headache. If you have a headache, it's probably because what? You're dehydrated. So if you put a little Celtic salt in your water, some lemon, electrolytes, and you still have a headache, it means it has nothing to do with your dehydration, and this is now something spiritual. So I had a headache, it was like this, and then it just felt like weighted vest on you or something, like, and it doesn't feel natural. So what I'll do is, one, I always have salt. I always have salt in my bathroom. Here's a couple things that you can use, and these are like different degrees. So I'll put salt inside of my hand, and then I'll put it under the water, running water. And this is also another thing. I don't know if it's because I'm water placement dominant. Like, I only have water and earth placements in my chart. Like, I might have like one fire placement, but I'm mostly water and earth. So I get a lot of downloads when I'm like washing dishes or washing my hands or in baths and all of those things. I like to think of myself as a healer. So yeah, so I'm putting my hands on the water, and you rub it under the water, the salt, and you say, bad energy sent my way, return to your sender right away. That's what I do. I saw this other girl, she said, bad energy sent my way, down the drain today. No. Because I don't know where it's going. I need this to go back to whoever sent it. Now, are there times where I feel especially inclined to just alchemize the energy and take it, all of it, because whatever it is going to help me quantum leap? Sure. But sometimes I'm just like, yeah, nah, you're going to have to get hit back with this, buddy. You're going to have it. Depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm real irritated that day or mad, I'll say tenfold. Yeah, let them know that you are God and touch not your anointed ones. All praises due to the Most High. First off, as someone who is a targeted individual, it was very important that I documented everything. I talked about that in my last video, but I never showed just how many journals and notebooks I have. Now, this isn't all of them, right? All of them are filled completely, and I write tiny, right? So when you're putting more and more distance between yourself and the people who are attempting to you or make you lose your mind so that they can have power of attorney over you when they can do an insurance and get the money. I've had that, definitely happens in the walk-ins for sure. But yeah. What's up, baby?
You okay?
Yeah, I was doing my video.
Oh, my bad.
What's up?
No, I just heard a noise. I just was checking.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you.
So where was I at? Okay, so when you start separating yourself, it's like they'll do stuff. It's like they have to. First of all, they feel it. When people are like siphoning from you, it's okay to be away from them as long as they know you're doing bad. But like if you start doing good, they feel it. And that's when you'll start having people reach out to you. It might not necessarily be like, because these are when flying monkeys come in, which they talked about on the Wiz, the flying monkeys on the Wiz. But yeah, so like say for example, how I told you about my cousin Imani, right? Now, she is the sister, I guess you can say half sisters, because they don't have the same mother, they have the same father. The father that left Jesse at the hospital, right? Now that happened because her mother had sex with both uncles, and they weren't sure, and they're twins. So Imani and Jesse, their father is a twin. Remember I told you the twin that's in jail for raping and sodomizing all of his children? They're twins, right? And he's the godfather of my brother Trey, the one I told you about. Stuff is connected. So, and remember I told you about the cult stuff. I don't know all 1,000% of every nick and cranny of cult stuff. No, I don't. I don't think I need to. No one knows everything, and we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to be leaning on understandings. But they do like sex magic, sex stuff, right? So her mother, Marsha, and her father, allegedly, Rafe, and then there's Race. So Race is the one that's in jail forever. Rafe is the one that should be in jail forever, but for whatever reason, he walks free. So Marsha had sex with both of them, both of the twin brothers. And also the twin brother, he was married to her half-sister. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, follow along. Write it down, draw a picture if you need to. So, although Marsha already had a child with somebody else, 2 children in fact, one with the white man and one with the crackhead, and then the one whose daughter was from the crackhead, super smart, but she has been significantly worn and abused by my Uncle Rafe. So she told me that my Uncle Rafe, her at 12, and Marsha watched it happen and stood at the door and didn't do anything about it, but he continued to rape her for years, right? And so she said that, because I had actually connected her, I had her come out to brunch when I had my mental health therapist friend, and I was just trying to, get her a little free therapy. I don't know, cast your cares, your burdens down. Let's see if we can help you together, right? And so she said, like, I felt like my mother sacrificed me to keep him. And so the big thing that we were so confused about, because that cousin's 3 years older than me. Jesse is a year younger than me, the twin, right? So the big lore is the fact that when Marsha had the baby, she left the baby at the hospital and went home. So now her 2 children that are 3 and 2 years old are wondering, they have trauma like, well, I saw my mom pregnant for 9 months and she came home, no belly, but no baby. Why? You already have 2 children. What is the reason why you left that one at the hospital? And no one wants to explain why. And then what's even more painful, especially for my cousin Jesse, is the fact that they went on to have more children, but they never went back to get her. So everybody got raised together, but Jesse had to stay at my grandmother, the same grandmother that allowed me to be sexually assaulted, molested by my principal in front of her. So now when you think about all these things, plus all the other things that I haven't even shared yet, sounds fishy, right? Real fishy. And I've had a lot of tragic, weird experiences when being around Marsha, being around Rafe, and it's just so much to name, but I want to focus more on helping, because at the end of the day, people have free will to be body jumped. You have to keep yourself at a high vibration so that the angels, beings of the light, are able to communicate with you. I feel like, but also there's nuance, because I can definitely say that when I was at the lowest I've ever felt in my life, which was the situation with my niece, my brother, and then the psych ward, that was the lowest I felt. But it was like God's voice was the clearest. So as long as you're open to the fact that the divine is real, I feel like you're going to get like the solutions, the keys, the plan, the path, the next steps forward. They will be given to you if you're brave. Now, if you're pusillanimous, which is where the word pussy actually derives from, pusillanimous, then it's probably going to take a lot longer. Remember, time is just a construct. I've lived so many lives in my almost 31 years than I'm sure a lot of people that are much older than me, 2 times my age, have experienced. But it's because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to say the thing. I'm not afraid to do the thing. I'm not afraid to not do the thing, because who's going to check me? And that type of confidence comes from beating death. I've had so many experiences. Like, I actually turned 2 of them into cartoons. I had an experience where somebody pulled a gun out on me and my friends in an Uber pool. And then I had 2 experiences where I was almost kidnapped. One of them was when I was like 21 years old, and the guy was trying to kidnap me from a first date. And then this year, actually, I was doing a ride share with my fiance because we had our car stolen at the beginning of last year. It's okay, everything happens the way it's supposed to. They actually got in a car crash 15 minutes away. The guy don't like ugly. And so, yeah, we were in a ride share, and usually, like, because we pass my fiance before we get to mine, he would take it all the way to my work. And then if you go left toward mine, if you go right, it's like you go back around past where we had already passed to drop off my man. But for this turn, the dude turns right instead of left. And so, like, I immediately, like, clock it, and I'm just like, excuse me, where are you going? And he's like acting like he don't understand English. Don't piss me off, because energy is a universal language. So I don't need to know what you said to know what you want. Let me say that again. I don't need to understand what you said to understand what you're on. So he turned, and so you know, he turned around, and mind you, I took an Empower because I was trying to save money. First of all, I would never take that rideshare app again because there's literally no way to track. There's no like background checks. I wouldn't suggest it, but you know what I'm saying? If you strapped up, who am I to suggest otherwise? Do not be afraid, right? Do not be afraid. Take what applies and leave the rest. So we turn around, and as we're turning around, and it's raining, so, you know, we're not trying to roll your windows down, but I started feeling like I couldn't breathe. And I've been roofied before, twice, in fact. Once when I worked at Hooters, and it was by one of the regulars, and he didn't just roofie me, he roofied this girl named Lene that I worked with. And we both tripped out, so, you know, it wasn't just a singular experience. And then I got roofied by this bartender when I was in Miami at this bar called Wild 'N Out, like the Nick Cannon thing. I don't think it exists anymore, but it did when I turned 22. 22, I think that was the year I went. So I know how it feels before I lose like my continence or like all my faculties. So I'm starting to feel like, you know, usually you can, but I'm feeling like I can't breathe. So I rolled the window down. And so he like rolls it up because he like, you know what I mean? I guess because the rain, and I'm like, I rolled it down. And so I'm like, yeah, can you turn, I feel like I said something to him like, don't mess with my window. Cause I'm like, I'm feeling like I can't breathe. And I said that to him. And so he had made like this shift. And I was like, ooh. So I was like, pull over to the side. And he was like trying to act like he didn't hear me. So I said, pull over to the side right now. He didn't even pull over to the side before I got out. Like, I was just like, nah, because I feel like I'm finna pass out. And what I'm not gonna do is pass out in this tore up car with this person who doesn't speak English. Please. So I get out, and it's like raining. I got my socks wet. I was so upset. And I walked to like the closest bus stop. And so like, then I gotta wait for a ride share. It's like pouring down raining. And so I get a ride share, take it to, I'm all like flustered and stuff, but ultimately I'm like glad that I'm separated. I try to report the situation. Nobody ever gets back to me from Empire. So definitely never took that ride again. And ultimately, like, I've moved from the place where I lived then. So it's like, I'm not worried. But after that, my fiance was like, why did you even do that? Like, I didn't ask you to have it drop me off first. Like, I want to make sure that you're safe. And I was just like, wow, like, you're right. Like, I couldn't even really report the guy because there was no like history. Like, they don't really have any real history on the people. So I just never took the ride from there again. But ultimately, like, it just felt like something was trying to slow me down. And it was because I was abandoning an old timeline. So even if it's not necessarily always a particular person that wants to slow your progress, the enemy, the devil in itself, wants to slow your progress, because your mission, that's God ordained, it affects so many souls. And so the devil wants those souls. So if you abandon your mission, then it kind of like you're abandoning all of these people that were supposed to be a part of the revelations that only you could share from your experience. And for the longest, I just felt like what I went through, my cautionary tales, would just be enough for my future children, grandchildren, descendants, forever, which is where all of the documentation comes from, because I've been journaling since I was 10. But it's more than that. It's more than, it's a collective consciousness. We're all one. So yeah, so I told you about the salt. I told you about the salt thing. Another one is a cleansing bath. It's very important that you cleanse. Like, for example, I bought me a nice little headband wig because I kept having to take cleansing baths because I'm doing a lot of work right now. I have a lot of people that are not happy with my forward movement. There's a lot of people who said I was going to turn out like this, and they turned out like that. Because the thing is, when somebody want to swap with you, let's be clear, Jesse's not the only person that's tried to destiny swap. Michelle has tried to destiny swap me with my sister Rachel, allegedly, because I actually had a dream recently, and then I got confirmation through divination that Michelle's not my mom. She's not. I mean, I talked about that in another video. I've been always skeptical. She's not. And what was brought to me in my dream was that I'm her cousin's daughter. Michelle's cousin's daughter. I'm not going to say her name, but because I don't have any proof yet. And that's the reason why she holds on to my social security cards, my birth certificate, all those things. She never wanted me to research it. And I've been recently like caring about my credit score, which is good. I have a good number. I was going through my alerts. Why? And tell me why the hell Michelle Watkins and her security number and all that, she popped up on my app for fraud alert in 2024. Now, I sent messages to Michelle and Ralph in 2024 and 2025 telling them, because I didn't have any proof, I just knew that they were doing fraudulent things with my identity, with insurance, with my mail, because I have the USPS app, so I know exactly what mail pieces of mine goes to that house. So they would never respond, because like I said, if they say too much, then they're gonna confirm something to me, and they don't want to do that. So I mean, at the end of the day, even though I haven't had any, well, that was concrete proof, but she failed. Whatever it was that she tried to do failed. The fact that I'm aware means I have the ability to put protection over a targeted area of my life. Does that make sense? So, you know, I set up all my stuff. I changed all my information. I changed all the passcodes. I logged out of this, logged out of that on all devices and all of the things. So, yeah, it's just like further confirmation. But like, as far as in the dream, I believe that they did the same exact thing where what happened with Jesse. So like, if she's a stolen child because they needed somebody as like the next like vessel, like Audrey needed somebody for the next vessel, because it's like you have to have a certain light and frequency about yourself in order to be utilized. If you're just like super low vibration, you're already doing dirty deeds, if you're already one of the devil's little minions, then they can't sacrifice you because you sacrificed yourself. It's the people that go to God and really have a strong connection with the divine, or want to, that are the real targets, because they belong to God. And at the end of the day, the devil's just jealous of God. And also, this is another thing that I've recognized from watching some of the stuff, because right now I'm watching Watchmen, right? And what we're getting into, especially after watching Lovecraft Country, is that everything happens in the spirit before it happens in the physical. 4444 on my timer, is that these things that are happening in the physical, like the Tulsa massacre and all those things, like what happened with oh Lord, let me forget your name. Emmett Till. That stuff that they're trying to do spiritually to like our community, like the massacres and things like that. Like, you're trying to take out chosen ones, because chosen ones are the leaders of the new world. We're in a year one, people. Things are shifting. It's either in the rapture, all of these things, it's not something that you see, it's something that you experience, it's something that you feel. And you either are going to choose to do the work, or it's going to work you. And like I said, those individuals who are realizing now the old ways won't work, the boomers, you know what I mean? Even some millennials, I'm a millennial, that have been doing work on people successfully, as far as they're concerned, successfully, right? and they feel like, well, why isn't this working? And they're starting to look like their projections. They look like it. You send a bunch of death magic, yeah, you look like death. That's how I knew my cousin was doing destiny swaps on me, because why are you younger than me and you look like a hormone monster? Why do you look 10, 15, 20, 30 years older than me? Because I look much younger than I even looked 5 years ago, when I was when I was still going under such heavy confusion. Now me, I have clear thinking, but that's also because of the fact that I'm very diligent on my cleansing work. So we talked about the baths. Some herbs that I always have are cinnamon. I burn cinnamon every morning. I burn bay leaves. I cleanse my home every day. I have bells on my door. Demons hate bells. I do not have visitors unless they've more than passed the vibe check. I have a lavender by my door. I have clove, always have whole cloves, always have hibiscus, eucalyptus, candles. I treat my baths like they are baptisms every single night. When I take my baths, I always have salt. I have one of those, like those bowls, you know, the where you can kind of like grind it. So I'll grind like certain herbs that I feel compelled to do at whatever point, and then I kind of like sage my bath. I call my power back every single day. I call my power back in the morning. I call it back at night. I already told you about the salt. I stay up on my hydration. I affirm myself every single day. I have affirmations on my mirror. I read Psalms every day. I make sure me and my fiance pray every single day. We pray in the morning and we pray at night. We pray over all of our meals. I pray over everything. Everything. I pray before I leave the house. All of the things, because once you really, really start to see how it's all one, and this aren't this and this, it's just this, then you're like, cool, all right, I got the power. And the more you like lean into that, the more you're like, 4:32 on the clock, 2, 3, 4 blessings knocking at my door. I'm gonna answer it. Always. Answer it. Always. And when it's time to let something go and you feel it in your heart, everything in your body is telling you, I got to do this thing. Go to divine about it first. Ask for confirmation from your angels and ancestors. Boom. I got way more stories. I mean, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be sharing. Like what exactly would be helpful to the next person. But one thing I can say is that my videos and my posts are gaining more traction. So although I'm not doing this with the intentions of being famous or anything to that regard, I'm doing it because I want to do the work that God has put on my heart to do. So I'm gonna do it. And then the fact that I have an injury right now and I can't move the way I want to, I feel like God's doing it on purpose, because it's kind of like, I don't want you going down that path, I want you going down this path. So this path and that path is real close together, but I had to knock you down right here because you was going to be rerouted somewhere else, and I need you to go on this one. So right now I just need you to crawl. You're going to crawl back over here because you was going the wrong way. So that's how I'm feeling. I'm already at 50 minutes, and that's all I got for today. If it's more to come, it's more to come. If it's not, and this is the last video, that's cool too. I have a lot of things that I'm talented with. I know how to read tarot, but like I said, I don't do tarot for people because people usually just want to hear what they want to hear. And and honestly, before I even read tarot or anything like that, I'll already be knowing. I feel like the cards is just to make other people feel better. But in the one occasion where I did it for one of my managers years ago, when I worked for Redacted Company, and she was like, oh, Rayanne, do my cards. I'm like, okay, yeah, what's up? What do you want to know? And she's like, oh, I'm about to go in Dubai with my boyfriend that I've been with for 5 years. We're going for 3 weeks. Is he going to ask me to marry him? Pull the cards out. No. But the cards say you need to focus on getting your license. whatever the license she was trying to get at the time. It don't really need her. These details don't matter. They said that she didn't need to get her license. Did I say she's never going to get married? No. I said you're not going to get married when you go to Dubai. So she was gone for the 3 weeks. In the 3 weeks that she was gone, I had all of these attacks that was happening. My aunt had passed away. I was definitely under heavy spiritual attack during that time. Because even at the funeral, like, even her funeral was really weird. Like, Audrey, grandmother, right, real name Elizabeth, she got up on that pulpit or whatever. She was talking so nasty about my aunt. And for you to have, like, how many children have you buried at this point? And then also, my aunt worked for the government. She did very well for herself. She had money and cars for everybody that was in our family. Why did this lady, my grandmother, go around in each one of these pews and have asked me and asked Jesse and whoever else little cousin she had to go around and take the cards and give it to her? Each one of the cards only had like $10 in it. She went around collecting it. Like, I'm telling you, these are the type of people that we're dealing with. So yeah, she didn't get my money though. I kept my cards. I was like, you tripping. But anyway, so yeah, she had asked me to do the cards or whatever, and so during the time I was under, a lot of attacks and stuff like that, and so I had put in my 2 weeks notice, and then the regional was like, oh, what's going on? We don't want to lose her, da da da. So then my property was like, Ray, do you think you would stay, da da da? And so I was like, he was like, please rescind your notice. I'm like, okay, but things gotta change because it was like a lot of stuff. So she comes back and I was like, I feel like all of the work that I'm doing, all the things that I do, I'm not getting paid enough. So I was like, for the time that I've spent here, I believe I would like a raise. Like, I feel like I deserve more than I'm getting paid. You can give me $1, I'm cool with that. So he pulls the person who I did the card for, and then another had been there the whole time. He's like, yes, Rand deserves a raise. And then the one who just got back from Dubai without a ring. Oh, well, I just don't feel like she's been here long enough for that. Da-da-da-da. Just say you're mad that I was right. Just say you're mad because of that. Stop making it out to be something else. And people with that nasty energy that just like don't even know where to project the internal conflict that they have within themselves, because all of those emotions are nothing but messengers. You want to sit there and say that this message is for somebody else, but it's sent to your phone. It's your phone. Why are you trying to say that message is for me? That's why I don't do people readings. I'll do your confirmation. I'll confirm something that we've already discussed, but I'm not gonna. No, I'm not doing that, because you're not gonna blame me and make it seem like I created that for you. That's weird. So yeah, so after that day, that same day that she said that, I quit. I was like, yeah, I'm done. And so the whole 2 weeks that, because I had to redo the 2 weeks, because I've never left in like bad standing. Like, now, do they always recover after I leave? No, I've had places after I left the roof burned down and it closed for good. I got a couple stories about that. I won't get into details, but yeah, so and then later on, maybe a year later, because I stayed in contact with the leasing that had told me I deserved a raise, but then I cut him off, and there's a whole nother story. Yeah, I don't know what's up with him. But I see her out because our property had a party, and she was like, oh, and I had brought my fiance with me, and she was like, oh, show me her ring and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, good for you, girl. I got my man, now I got my ring. But I'm not somebody that's like 555 on the timer, 55555. I'm not the type of person that ever feels like something that's for somebody else belongs to me. That's always eluded me. I've never been a jealous person. The most you could ever be is inspiring to me. I don't want to be you at all. There's no one I'd rather be but myself. I'd rather improve this, create more from this, sculpt this, than to ever deny who I am to be a carbon copy of someone else, and God forbid, I definitely would never want you to lose it so I can have it. That's deluded. That's demonic even. So she's doing all this stuff. And she's like, oh, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. And then I didn't like talk to her for the rest of the time because it's just like, I don't like you. You did that weird shit. I don't like you. You're just here, so I'll be polite. But we're not cool. Know that. We're not cool. Never had you on social medias. Never texted you. The whole 2 weeks of the last time that I spent with her, she was trying to convince me why I shouldn't quit. Oh, why don't you just get a smaller apartment? I already downsized from 1,200 square feet to 700 square feet or 750 square feet. Why would I go down to 300 square feet for this old goddamn apartment? No, I'm not doing that. I'd rather just take a leap of faith once again. And that's what you do. You don't concede to things that are not for you. Ever. And people don't like that. People don't like that. People want you to settle. They want to feel above you. But if you keep quantum leaping, then you're going to get too far ahead. So if they feel like they have little bit of influence or power over to delay you or keep you down, then you got to snatch that right up and remind them who you belong to. So 4:41 on the clock, that's for the 144, right? 44 as a confirmation number, 441 is a confirmation number. I'm very, very grateful to be the mind with the thoughts to share and speak. All praises due to the Most High. Make sure you're up on your cleansing. If anyone has any questions for me in regards to like, hey, Rain, you didn't expand on this. Hey, you kind of trailed off there, because I can be quite loquacious and it's so much information that even sometimes I get sidetracked and I might not have completely told the end of one story and started another one. That's how I talk with my friends. That's how I talk with my man. Like, I just sidetracked. It'd be so much information. I just be so excited to, you know what I mean, share. But I am definitely open. I as far as like being helpful, if anyone need any confirmation, feel free to comment and ask. But very, very grateful for the divine to be the speaker, the mind, the voice, to share. Peace.